Breaking right now, Rachel Reeves has been exposed as a liar, as a charlatan, but the mainstream media don't want to talk about it. So this as an astonishing story revealed by the Guido Fawkes website. Now, I've been on this for some time, and Rachel Reeves has now conceded that she lied about her previous job by changing her LinkedIn profile. Now, of course, this comes on a day where our GDP and our growth figures are in the toilet. Perhaps not a surprise, given we have a chancellor who can't even tell the truth about where she used to work and what she used to do. So let me share the Guido Fawkes story with you. Guido was watching Reeves' Mansion House speech last night and noticed she limited her tenure as an economist to the short years she spent at the Bank of England, saying, "Before entering politics, I worked as an economist at the Bank of England and then in financial services." Funnily enough, Reeves has also done a bit of retrospective digital editing. She has quietly changed her LinkedIn account CV. Gone is the Chancellor's claim that she was an economist at the Bank of Scotland. She now just says she worked in retail banking at HBOS. As Guido revealed last month, Reeves actually worked in a small complaints team within HBOS, which managed administration processes, IT matters, and small projects and planning. Just in case you thought her experience as an economist justified that budget. Now, in the last couple of hours, a Treasury source has admitted that the LinkedIn was edited. They said she worked in retail banking, covering various areas, drawing on her background as an economist. Her LinkedIn has been updated to reflect that. But this is incredibly serious in my view, even though the mainstream media is ignoring the story. Robert Jenrick, the Tory leadership contender, now Shadow Justice Secretary, wrote, "Reeves said she was an economist. Turns out she's just economical with the truth." And what I find astonishing is that most of the mainstream media have had opportunities to sit down with Rachel Reeves, including GB News, and not one question has been put to her about her fake CV, about her lies. Can you imagine if this was a Tory chancellor? It would have been leading the mainstream media news day after day after day with a drumbeat that they simply must resign. And it looks like there's a lot to look into within Rachel Reeves' past. I want to share with you a LinkedIn post which is going viral. This has been made by a man called Kev Gillett. He writes, "Back in 2009, Rachel Reeves worked 3 levels below me. Just facts. She was a complaints support manager at HBOS, not an economist. #fact checked." Now, Kev Gillett goes on. "Nearly got sacked due to an expenses scandal where the 3 senior managers were all signing off each other's expenses. Narrow escape. Then had lots of doctors, dentists visits. So she was followed. Turns out she was doing Labour Council business. When shown the facts, she resigned. Now she is robbing people who've worked hard. Now she is ruining every agricultural family. Evil, evil socialists. Socialism is great until they've spent your money." Now, personally, I would just like Rachel Reeves to not be the biggest hypocrite in Britain, given that when she was in opposition, she posted on X that honesty and integrity matter in our politics and for our democracy. Today, the Conservatives failed to stand up for either. Britain deserves better. Well, look, I agree with you on that, Rachel Thieves. I completely agree. We deserve better than a 2-bit chancellor who would lie on their CV about being an economist and then quietly tweak their LinkedIn page to think that we wouldn't notice. My superstar panel back now, Patrick O'Flynn and Tom Sullivan. Patrick, I mean, this story is extraordinary on so many levels, but it does show you how the mainstream media are completely in the tank for this Labour administration. She hasn't even been asked a question about this. It's only Guido Fawkes that's doing the reporting.
Yeah, I think this is very serious. I mean, Rachel Reeves was sort of integral to the way Labour won the election, and she had relative to her immediate predecessor as Shadow Chancellor, Annalise Dodds, she had an aura of sort of plainness, competence, not frightening the horses. But you know, I've written a few weeks back on my State of the Nation Substack that there's something not quite right about Rachel Reeves. She's not all that in terms of her political skills. She's not very good. She talked us to the brink of a recession in order to try and sort of create this 22 billion black hole. But one thing we haven't mentioned yet is she got caught for, you know, several plagiarism episodes in a book that she wrote as well. You know, she is, you know, her idea that she is Mrs. Integrity is coming apart very quickly. Now, it's very serious for Starmer because even though Rachel Reeves has been subperforming, had a torrid time, her integrity is massively under the microscope, she is still one of the top 3 or 4 cabinet performers because this is the most useless, obnoxious collection of people ever to sit in a British cabinet. I can't think of one of them, but bar arguably Wes Streeting when he's not threatening to push people in front of trains, who's got any charm. Maybe Pat McFadden is a bit of nous, and that other than that, they're like a sort of sour-faced bunch of student union has-beens, and there isn't anyone to replace Rachel Reeves with, and yet she's bad at her job. She's projecting, you know, terrible character traits. She is, you know, accidentally sort of tripping her way into terrible first order, you know, messes, such as the way that farmers are being treated, such as the where she drew her means testing line on withdrawing the winter fuel benefit with no mandate, by the way. She's taking it away from 90% of pensioners and then trying to argue that, oh, we're taking away from the better off. Well, that doesn't wash either. So I think the overall conclusion is Rachel Reeves is hopeless, you know, and most of the rest of the cabinet are just as bad. And this is why Labour is sinking like a stone.
But first, I love the holidays. It's my favourite time of year in many ways. Got my Christmas tree up already. But I find it can be very demanding going to all the events, dinners, looking for gifts and planning the day itself. Every year I tend to burn out quicker than the last, and it may have something to do with the fact I'm getting a little bit older. But this year, I don't plan to burn out at all. Getting older is inevitable, but feeling older isn't. As we get older, our body's ability to create energy declines, but recent scientific discoveries have found we can actually increase our energy levels in our cells by taking something called NMN. Now, NMN has been shown to increase energy and endurance, activate our body's ability to burn fat, enhance mental function and health, improve blood pressure, regulate blood sugar levels, and support many other health markers. Finding high quality, pure NMN is hard though, so that's why I use Verso. They conduct third-party testing for each batch produced to guarantee you get what you paid for. It contains the highest quality NMN and other research-backed ingredients that have been shown to increase energy levels and slow down aging. After taking Cellbean for some time, I feel like a younger version of me. I've noticed more energy, enhanced endurance, improved cognition, fat loss, better sleep, and if I do get a cold, I recover faster. So click on the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble, or head on over to www.ver.so and use the coupon code Outspoken when you check out to save 15% off your first order. I'm just going to repeat the website address, www.buy.ver.so/outspoken, and use the coupon code Outspoken. Indeed. Well, look, as Nigel Farage has written on this today, Rachel Reeves told us she was an economist. In reality, she ordered the paper clips instead. And Tom Sullivan, we know that none of this cabinet have any business experience whatsoever, which is why after just weeks, our growth forecast is in the bin. But what makes me so angry about this is that these people, especially the likes of Thieves, were the most holier than thou when it came to the slightest indiscretion during the last administration.
No, they are. It reminds me of Mariana Spring, the BBC's fact
Yes.
checker, who forgot to fact check her own CV, as I recall.
She's a CV liar too. They're all at it.
This story appears to be snowballing. I think you'll find that in 2009, when she was running to first become a MP, she boasted about her ordering the paper clips in order to get elected. So, this is definitely one to watch. I mean, she does seem to be quite duplicitous where it comes to this, or whether it comes to saying, I won't raise taxes and then doing it, or whether it comes to pretending to be shocked and surprised about a 20 billion black hole. So I'm not an economist, okay, but I know that 2 + 2 is 4. And I also know that our real black hole, which is the difference between the amount of money the government takes from us and the amount of money they spend, is 120 billion. So that's the structural deficit. She's off the mark by 100 billion. For starters, most of that is actually interest on our debt, which no one is interested in talking about. So that alone should make her not qualified for the job. But most economists, apart from, those rare gems like Liam Halligan, actually don't care about the debt or anything, and they think that money goes on trees. So maybe she is an economist at heart, I'd have to say, just to be fair to her.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, she is going to quite quickly become one of the most hated people in Britain. Of that, I have no doubt. She's an incredibly robotic performer.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to have absolutely no empathy. So maybe we should actually feel sorry for Rachel Reeves with what's about to hit her, Patrick, because, for example, with the farmers, this protest in London next week is just the beginning of what is going to be a serious wave of civil unrest, but it still doesn't excuse her behavior.
No, absolutely not. And another thing which I think is massively, not to her credit, is the way that she sort of tried to wrap herself in an identity politics protection cloak by going on and on about how wonderful it is that she's the first woman chancellor. It's about the only first woman thing that Labour has ever been able to say, because the Tories have had the first women prime ministers, foreign secretaries of galore, home secretaries galore. So she actually produced a film in the Treasury of how great it was that she had, quote, smashed the glass ceiling, without thinking, it's not about me, it's about what I can do for the British economy and for standards of living. So I think she will use media allies to say they're after me because I'm a woman. And that reminds me of the Farage debanking scandal, where she weighed in on the side of Alison Rose, despite Alison Rose's very bad conduct, on the grounds that Alison Rose was one of the first female bosses of a big retail bank. So at heart, she's just another identity politics extremist. And quite frankly, I'm surprised at how fast she's shown she is not up to the job.
No, very true. Very true. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.